stop scrolling right now, because what I'm about to tell you will completely change the way you see love, women, and your life. Most men are wasting years of their lives chasing someone who doesn't even feel the way they do, and they don't even realize it. They think persistence will work. They think effort equals results. They think hope is enough. But here's the truth that nobody will tell you. If she doesn't love you, no amount of chasing, convincing, or sacrificing will make her care. Not one bit. And the shocking part, most men never realize this until it's too late. They spend months, sometimes years, pouring energy into someone who isn't even present in the way that matters. They beg for attention, misread signals, and create illusions in their mind that keep them trapped in pain, frustration, and wasted time. Time, your most precious asset, is disappearing second by second while they sit hoping for love that will never come. But here's the thing that will blow your mind. The moment you face this reality, the moment you stop chasing someone who doesn't love you, everything changes. You gain clarity, confidence, and power. You stop being desperate and start becoming magnetic. You stop wasting energy on illusions and start investing it in yourself, your growth, and your future. That's when real love, respect, and attention start coming naturally, not because you begged for it, not because you tried to earn it, but because you became a man who cannot be ignored. So, if you've been holding on to someone who doesn't feel the same way, if you've been wasting your time hoping for what will never happen, you need to watch this video all the way to the end. Every second matters. Every insight matters. By the time you're done watching, your perspective on love, attraction, and your own value will be completely transformed, and you'll never waste your time the same way again. Let's start with the most important truth you need to understand, the one truth most men never want to face but must confront if they want clarity and freedom in their lives. Love is never hidden. Real love doesn't play games. Real attraction doesn't require you to chase, beg, or manipulate. When a younger woman truly loves you, it is obvious. It hits you in ways you cannot ignore. It shows up in her actions, in her presence, in the way she makes time for you and prioritizes you without being asked. If it's not there, no amount of persuasion, charm, or effort on your part will make it appear. Most men are conditioned to believe that if they are persistent enough, if they show enough effort, if they give enough of themselves, love will eventually come. But that is a dangerous illusion. It is a lie the world tells to keep you in a state of distraction, of longing, of wasted energy. True connection is never earned through pressure. It's not a transaction. You cannot buy genuine attention or force genuine desire. And yet, how many men spend months, years, sometimes decades chasing someone who never really cared, convincing themselves that one day she will come around? Here's what most people fail to realize: love speaks louder than words. Words are cheap, actions are priceless. A woman who loves you does not leave you guessing. She shows up consistently. She communicates without creating confusion. She invests her energy into you, not just when it's convenient, but in ways that prove her commitment. When someone's heart is in the right place, it is impossible to hide completely. There are signs, patterns, and consistent behaviors that cannot be faked. And the moment you recognize them, the moment you see the truth of her feelings, you gain clarity. You no longer waste your life on uncertainty, on hope, on imagined futures that will never exist. Now, let's be honest, it is uncomfortable to face this truth. It goes against the ego, against the pride, against the narratives we tell ourselves to feel important. It's easier to believe in the possibility of love than to accept the reality of rejection. It's easier to imagine that she's just busy or just hesitant than to admit that she does not feel the way you do. But here's the shock. Accepting this reality is liberating. When you finally see the truth, you stop wasting time and energy on someone who cannot love you. You reclaim control over your life, your emotions, and your future. Think about it logically. Every second you spend chasing someone who doesn't love you is a second taken away from building your purpose, your passion, your success. Every hour wasted hoping for affection that will never come is a moment stolen from your own growth. Life is finite. Time is non-renewable. The world does not owe you a love story, and neither does she. But what you do owe yourself is respect, dignity, and the courage to recognize reality when it stares you in the face. And let's talk about perception versus reality. So often, men convince themselves that a woman likes them because of small, ambiguous gestures. A text here, a smile there, a casual laugh during a conversation. These things are often misread as signs of love. But the truth is subtle yet profound. Love is unmistakable. It does not come with conditions. It does not require decoding. It does not need manipulation. When you feel uncertainty constantly, when you are left questioning her intentions every day, that is your mind signaling the truth. That is the evidence telling you what your heart may fear to admit. See, she does not love you. Understanding this requires a level of emotional intelligence many men avoid. It requires looking at the facts, stripping away desire, and observing reality with brutal honesty. It requires courage to see patterns instead of exceptions. And once you do, your life changes. You begin to invest your energy into things that truly matter: your growth, your ambition, your self-respect. And you stop chasing illusions. You stop believing in love that is conditional, love that is hesitant, love that arrives only when convenient. You start recognizing the people who are genuinely drawn to your presence, those who pursue you without hesitation, without games, without leaving you in doubt. Here's a philosophical truth that most people ignore: love is a reflection of energy. It is not a negotiation, it is a resonance. A younger woman who truly loves you resonates with your presence, your energy, your being. You feel it, you see it, and it manifests naturally in her actions. Conversely, when there is no resonance, when there is hesitation, distance, or inconsistency, no amount of persistence can create a bond where none exists. Trying to force it is not only fruitless, is destructive. It erodes your confidence, your self-worth, and your ability to attract genuine love in the future. So, the first key point is simple yet powerful: do not ignore the signs, and do not lie to yourself, and do not waste your time on love that isn't reciprocated. Real love is loud, unmistakable, and consistent. When it is missing, accept it, face it, respect it, and redirect your energy toward the things, the people, and the purpose that truly deserve it. Because when you do, something extraordinary happens. You stop being desperate, you stop chasing, and you begin to radiate a presence so magnetic that real love cannot help but be drawn to you. The most shocking part for many men is that the moment they let go, the moment they stop clinging to someone who cannot love them, their world changes instantly. They feel freedom they never knew existed, clarity that cuts through confusion like a blade, and a confidence that is undeniable. And here's the final truth: a woman who is meant to be with you will not require convincing. She will not play games. She will not leave you guessing. She will pursue you with the same intensity you pursue your own goals, your own life, your one purpose. So take this lesson deeply into your life. Recognize the difference between love and attention. Recognize the signals that are clear versus the illusions you create. Accept reality with courage and use it to empower yourself. Because the moment you see that love is not hidden, that it cannot be forced, and that it will never arrive where it is not wanted, you will unlock the power to stop wasting time, to stop chasing illusions, and to start living a life that commands respect, admiration, and genuine connection. Remember this and let it guide every decision, every interaction, every moment of your life. Love that is real does not hide. When it's missing, accept it, walk away, and reclaim the life you were meant to live. Now, let's talk about something that very few men truly understand, something that separates those who live fulfilled, powerful lives from those who endlessly chase illusions. Time is your most valuable asset. I don't mean it in a casual sense, like a phrase people throw around on social media. I mean it in the raw, brutal, life-altering truth. Every second you spend on someone who doesn't love you is a second that will never come back. And when you finally realize the weight of that truth, it hits harder than anything else you've ever experienced. Most men don't see this because society conditions us to believe that persistence equals reward. If you keep trying, if you keep showing effort, eventually she'll notice. But that is a trap, a slow poison that eats away at your confidence, your energy, and your life. Time is the one currency you cannot earn back. You can make more money. You can gain more influence. You can build more skills. But you can never make more minutes, more hours, more days. Every moment you spend chasing someone who does not feel for you what you feel for them is a moment you could have spent building your destiny. Consider this for a second. Life does not pause for anyone. It doesn't care about your heartbreak, your obsession, your hope that one day she will suddenly see you. The world keeps moving, opportunities keep passing, and the man who wastes his energy on illusions falls behind. Every hour you spend texting, waiting for her response, analyzing her every move, imagining scenarios that will never happen, is a theft from your own potential. It is a theft from the life you could have created if you invested that energy into your growth, your purpose, and your own happiness. And here's the shocking reality: many men are addicted to the chase. They confuse obsession with love, persistence with value. They pride themselves on never giving up, when in reality, they are giving up on themselves. They are sacrificing their peace of mind, their clarity, and their future for someone who cannot and will not return the energy they give. This is not strength, it is self-destruction disguised as dedication. Time wasted on unreciprocated love is not just about hours, it's about life trajectory. Every decision you make, every action you take compounds over time. Imagine the man who spends 5 years obsessing over someone who never loved him. Imagine the opportunities he missed in those years. Career moves, friendships, personal growth, experiences that could have shaped him into someone extraordinary. The tragedy is that the majority of men will look back years later and realize that the woman was never worth the time. But the time itself, that is gone forever. You cannot get it back. This is why understanding the value of time is not optional. It is essential. It is not just about avoiding pain or heartbreak. It is about mastering life. The men who succeed, the men who build empires, the men who create legacies understand that their time is sacred. They do not squander it on games, illusions, or unreciprocated affection. They invest it in themselves, in their growth, and in connections that truly matter. They know that the energy they give is a reflection of their respect for themselves, for their future, for their life. And here's the deeper psychological truth: chasing someone who doesn't love you is a form of surrender. It is handing your power, your control, and your freedom to someone else. Every second you spend hoping, waiting, or begging for affection is a second where you are no longer in charge of your life. You are a prisoner of someone else's choices, and worse, you are a prisoner of your own illusions. Real freedom, real power, comes from reclaiming that time, from refusing to hand it over to someone who does not value it or you. When you start to truly grasp this, something incredible happens. You begin to see the world differently. You begin to see opportunities where you used to see heartbreak. You begin to measure your life not by who you can make love you, but by how much you can grow, achieve, and elevate yourself. You begin to understand that every second you spend on yourself compounds like interest in a bank account. The skills you learn, the strength you build, the confidence you develop, they attract the right people naturally, without chasing, without desperation. And this is where most men make the fatal mistake. They ignore the clock. They think that because they have hope, because they have desire, time doesn't matter. But life is finite, and hope without action is a lie. Waiting for someone who doesn't feel the same way is not romantic, it is tragic. It is the slow death of ambition, of opportunity, of personal evolution. You must treat your time as sacred. You must treat your energy as sacred. You must treat yourself as sacred. Anything less is surrendering your power to someone who does not deserve it. Think of it this way: every moment you spend chasing unrequited love is a moment spent in someone else's shadow when you could have been shining in your own light. Every hour you waste is a chance lost to become stronger, smarter, and more magnetic. Every day you cling to someone who doesn't care is a day you deny yourself the life you could have had, the freedom, the joy, and the love that actually belongs to you. And let's be honest, this isn't just about efficiency, it's about respect, self-respect. When you spend time on someone who cannot love, you are sending a message, consciously or unconsciously, that you are willing to settle, to beg, to accept less than you deserve. That is not confidence. That is not power. That is a surrender of your most valuable resource, and no one can take that back for you. Only you can reclaim it. So what do? You start by looking at your life with brutal honesty. You ask yourself, who is giving me energy and who is taking it, who is helping me grow and who is keeping me stuck, who truly loves me and who I am chasing illusions about. The answers are always in the patterns, always in the actions, not in the words, not in the promises, not in the hope that fades with every passing hour. And the moment you see the truth, you act. You stop wasting time. You stop chasing. You stop giving your energy to someone who does not reciprocate. You redirect it to yourself, to your growth, to the life you are building. Because here is the ultimate truth: time is the one thing you cannot get back. And the moment you reclaim it, you reclaim your power. When you stop chasing illusions, you start living deliberately. You start creating, building, and growing in ways that demand attention and respect. You stop waiting for love that may never come and start attracting love that is real, that is consistent, and that is powerful. So take this lesson deeply. Your time is sacred. Your energy is sacred. Your life is sacred. Do not waste it on someone who does not love you. Do not beg, do not chase, and do not surrender your power. Recognize reality, accept it, and redirect your energy toward the things, the people, and the purpose that truly deserve it. Because when you do, you will feel a freedom so intense, a clarity so sharp, and a power so magnetic that you will wonder how you ever wasted a second on anyone else. Remember this: every moment you refuse to chase someone who cannot love you is a moment you invest in becoming the man no one can ignore. Protect your time, protect your energy, and the rest of your life will follow. Now, let's get to a truth that most men refuse to confront. A truth so simple yet so devastating that it changes everything once you truly see it. Actions always reveal the truth. Words often lie. This is where so many men get trapped, where so many lives are wasted, and where so much heartbreak is born. A woman's words can sound perfect. She can promise, she can reassure, she can whisper things that make your heart race and your mind dream. But words alone are cheap. They are easy. They are the currency of hope, the currency of illusion. Real truth, real love, it is measured not by what someone says, but by what they do. Think about it. How many men have convinced themselves that a younger woman loves them because she said the right things at the right time? How many have created elaborate stories in their heads based on conversations, texts, or fleeting moments that felt intimate but were actually empty? The truth is always in the actions. Does she make time for you consistently or only when it suits her? Does she show up in ways that matter or only when it's convenient? Does she invest her energy into the connection or does she leave you guessing and questioning constantly? These are the signs that cannot be faked, no matter how convincing the words are. Words are seductive. They create hope. They keep you engaged. They make you think that maybe, just maybe, she feels something deeper than she actually does. But actions are the unarguable proof. Actions are the reality. A woman who truly loves you will show it without being asked. She will prioritize you in subtle ways, in consistent ways, in ways that make your heart know the truth without even thinking about it. Conversely, a woman who does not love you will leave you in doubt. She will give you pieces of attention that fade. She will create moments that feel significant, but ultimately lead nowhere. And yet, so many men ignore this. They choose to believe the story they want instead of the reality that is. This is where the psychological trap gets its hold. When we want someone, our brain is wired to focus on the positive signals and ignore the negatives. We interpret ambiguous behavior as affection. A casual smile becomes a promise. A fleeting text becomes a declaration. But our desire clouds our judgment, and we convince ourselves that we are seeing love when we are actually seeing manipulation, avoidance, or simple indifference. The danger is that the longer we allow this illusion to continue, the more we erode our own self-respect, our own clarity, and our own time. Understanding this truth requires brutal honesty. It requires observing patterns over time rather than moments in isolation. It requires asking yourself, without excuses or rationalizations, does her behavior match her words? Does her presence match her promises? Does she invest the energy that real love demands? If the answer is no, then it does not matter how many "I love yous" she whispers or how many fantasies she allows you to imagine. The reality is that she does not love you in the way that matters, and continuing to hope will only prolong your suffering. And here's the part most men refuse to admit: the moment you stop listening to words and start observing actions, you gain clarity. You start seeing the truth as it is, not as you wish it to be. You begin to separate fantasy from reality, illusion from substance, distraction from opportunity. And once you have that clarity, you start to reclaim control over your life. You stop chasing, you stop hoping, and you stop giving your energy to someone who cannot return it. You begin to invest in yourself, in your growth, in your purpose, and in relationships that are authentic, mutual, and real. Philosophically speaking, this is a profound lesson about life itself. Words are easy, actions are hard. Anyone can say something, anyone can promise something, but it takes real energy, real commitment, real intention to act in a way that aligns with what is said. And this is why actions are the ultimate measure of truth. This principle applies not just to love, but to every area of life. In business, in friendship, in leadership, the people who deliver results are the ones who act, not the ones who talk. In love, the people who are genuine are the ones who act, not the ones who simply speak. The shocking realization for many men is that they have been living in a world of words, in a world of promises, in a world of illusions, while true love and connection existed elsewhere. Elsewhere for someone willing to act, to show, to be present, and to invest. The moment you shift your focus from words to actions, You stop chasing illusions and start seeing reality. You stop being deceived and start being empowered. You stop being desperate and start being magnetic. And this is where self-respect becomes intertwined with reality. When you recognize that actions matter more than words, you stop tolerating behavior that diminishes your value. You stop accepting half-hearted attention or inconsistent effort. You stop bending over backwards for someone who cannot or will not match your energy. And in that moment, you become a man who cannot be ignored. Because confidence is born from clarity, and clarity is born from seeing the truth in actions, not the illusions of words. Let's not sugarcoat it. This is a harsh truth, and it may be shocking for many men to hear. The woman you have been hoping loves you may not. The words you have been clinging to may be empty. But here's the empowering part. Once you see the truth, you gain power. You gain clarity. You gain freedom. You no longer waste your life, your energy, your potential on someone who does not match your worth. You reclaim the ability to focus on what truly matters, your growth, your happiness, and the love that actually belongs to you. So, take a moment and reflect. Observe the people in your life. Watch their actions, not their words. Pay attention to patterns, consistency, and energy invested. Recognize that actions reveal truth, that words can mislead, and that your future depends on seeing the reality of people's behavior. Because the moment you align yourself with action over illusion, you stop wasting time, you stop chasing shadows, and you start building a life where love, respect, and connection are genuine, mutual, and undeniable. And here's the final, unforgettable takeaway: words are cheap, actions are priceless. If her actions do not show love, do not waste another second believing in what is not real. Accept the truth, respect yourself, and invest your energy where it truly belongs. Now, let's dive into one of the most transformative truths you will ever face. Self-worth and personal growth are the ultimate forms of power, and they are the keys to attracting genuine love. Most men spend their lives chasing others, hoping that someone will validate them, hoping that love will arrive externally and fill the gaps within. But the shocking truth, the truth no one else will tell you, is that love cannot fix what you refuse to build within yourself. Love cannot save you from desperation. Love cannot elevate you if you are not already elevating yourself. When a younger woman does not love you, it is not the end. It is a warning, a signal, and an opportunity. It is the universe giving you a choice: continue wasting time, energy, and dignity, or redirect that focus inward and transform your life in ways that will make you irresistible. Not because you are chasing, but because you are magnetic. Personal growth is not a hobby. It is not an optional skill you practice when convenient. It is the foundation of your presence, your energy, your value. Without it, you are vulnerable to illusions, manipulation, and heartbreak. With it, you are untouchable. Think about the men who are consistently respected, admired, and desired. Look beyond the surface. They are not admired solely for their looks, money, or charm. They are admired for their energy, their purpose, their confidence. They have built a life that radiates value, a life that demands respect simply by existing. And here's the critical part: you cannot fake this. You cannot pretend your life has meaning if it doesn't. You cannot attract genuine love while living in desperation. Personal growth is visible. It is tangible. It cannot be ignored, and it cannot be created artificially. This is why self-worth is non-negotiable. It is not arrogance. It is not ego. It is clarity about what you deserve and what you will accept. It is understanding that your energy is precious, and no one who does not love you is entitled to it. Self-worth means you do not bend over backward to convince someone of your value. Self-means you do not tolerate games, half-hearted affection, or conditional attention. Self-worth is a shield against wasting time on those who cannot or will not see your true worth. And when you combine self-worth with personal growth, you become unstoppable. Here's the part most men miss: personal growth is not just about skill, wealth, or success. It is about energy. It is about the aura you carry, the confidence you exude, the presence that demands attention. When you stop chasing someone who does not love you and start focusing on your growth, you develop a magnetic energy that no one can resist. It is not about manipulation or strategy. It is not about trying to make someone notice you. It is about becoming someone who is impossible to ignore because your life, your mind, and your spirit are fully alive. Let's break this down psychologically. When a man relies on external validation, he becomes vulnerable. Every text ignored, every fleeting attention, every ambiguous signal feels like a failure. He is enslaved by another person's choices, by another person's willingness to invest in him. But when you develop your own self-worth and commit to personal growth, you are no longer dependent on anyone else for validation. Your happiness, your confidence, your sense of purpose comes from within. And here's the incredible part: the moment you stop needing someone else to love you, you start attracting the people who truly will. And yes, this takes discipline. It takes courage. It takes the ability to face loneliness, to face disappointment, to face the truth that the person you wanted will not come through. But this is where transformation happens. Because when you redirect that energy inward, every skill you learn, every goal you pursue, every strength you develop compounds into a force that makes you unrecognizable to your past self. You become someone who no longer chases, but someone who attracts. You become someone who commands respect, who commands attention, and whose presence cannot be ignored. Here's another shocking truth. Personal growth does more than make you attractive. It protects you. It creates boundaries. It sharpens your judgment. It allows you to recognize illusions before they drain you. When you have a solid sense of self-worth and a life built on purpose, you do not waste years on someone who cannot love you. You do not tolerate games, ambiguity, or half-hearted attention. You operate from a place of power, clarity, and control, and people respond to that energy instinctively. And here's the deeper philosophical lesson life rewards those who invest in themselves. The man who grows, who develops, who sharpens his mind, body, and spirit attracts connections, opportunities, and love that are authentic and aligned with his value. The man who chases, who depends on external validation, who surrenders his energy to someone else, attracts disappointment, heartbreak, and frustration. Growth and self-worth are not optional if you want a life, a love, and a presence that is real. They are essential. They are non-negotiable. Now, take a moment and visualize this. You stop chasing someone who does not love you. You stop begging for attention, for validation, for affection that is not freely given. You redirect that energy to your own growth. You build your mind, your body, your skills, your confidence. You pursue your purpose relentlessly. You invest in your happiness, your freedom, your life. And then, without effort, without strategy, without games, the right people, those who resonate with your energy, those who match your presence, are drawn to you. That is the power of self-worth and personal growth. That is the secret the world refuses to tell you. And here is the final undeniable truth: no woman, no matter how alluring, no matter how persuasive, no matter how special, is worth sacrificing your growth or your dignity. Not one. If she cannot love you fully, consistently, and unconditionally, then she is not your person, and every moment spent chasing her is a moment stolen from the man you are meant to become. Your life, your energy, and your future are far too valuable to waste. So, take this lesson and let it sink in. Your value is not determined by her love. Your worth is not measured by her attention, and your power is created by the life you build within yourself. Focus on growth. Focus on strength. Focus on becoming the man who is impossible to ignore. When you do, the love you deserve will find you effortlessly, and everything else, the games, the illusions, the wasted energy, will fall away. Finally, we arrive at one of the most liberating truths you will ever hear, a truth that separates men who live in regret from men who live in freedom. Freedom comes from acceptance, and acceptance is the ultimate form of power. Most men spend their lives resisting reality, wishing things were different, hoping that someone would suddenly feel what they feel. They cling to illusions, they replay scenarios in their minds, they fabricate what ifs and maybes. But here is the shock. Resisting reality does not change it. It does not bring love. It does not create respect. It only keeps you trapped in a cycle of disappointment, anxiety, and wasted energy. Acceptance is not about weakness. It is not about giving up. In fact, it is the opposite. Acceptance is a conscious choice to see the world as it truly is, to acknowledge the truth of someone's feelings, or lack thereof, and to refuse to let illusions dictate your life. A younger woman who does not love you has already made her choice. Her actions, her patterns, her consistency, or the lack of it, have revealed the truth. And the moment you accept this truth, you stop living in someone else's shadow and start reclaiming your own power. Most men are terrified of acceptance because it feels like loss. It feels like failure. It feels like giving up on what they want. But here's the reality: clinging to someone who does not love you is not victory. It is defeat. It is surrender disguised as hope. It is the slow erosion of your confidence, your clarity, and your dignity. True power, the kind that commands respect, admiration, and genuine attraction, is born not from chasing someone who cannot love you, but from accepting reality and using it to elevate yourself. Think about it: when you finally stop resisting the truth, when you finally stop begging, hoping, or convincing yourself that things might change, you experience something incredible: clarity. The fog that clouded your judgment lifts. You see yourself clearly. You see the people around you clearly. You see the opportunities that have always existed, waiting for someone with the courage to act. Acceptance frees you from the chains of obsession, from the endless cycles of doubt, from the emotional drain of chasing what cannot be caught. Psychologically, acceptance is transformative. When you accept reality, your brain stops wasting energy on what you cannot control. You no longer spin in circles analyzing her every word, her every action, her every mood. You stop trying to predict, manipulate, or interpret what is never going to be fully yours. That mental energy, that emotional energy, is redirected to your growth, your purpose, and your life. Acceptance turns desperation into clarity, confusion into strategy, and longing into power. And here's the most profound part: freedom through acceptance is magnetic. The moment you stop clinging, stop pleading, stop trying to earn affection that isn't freely given, you radiate a new kind of energy. It is subtle yet undeniable. People feel it. They are drawn to it. Women who are genuinely aligned with your value and energy cannot ignore it. You stop chasing and suddenly you become the prize. The universe responds to clarity, to confidence, to presence. And that is the ultimate irony. By accepting that someone does not love you, you become someone who naturally attracts love that is real. Philosophically, acceptance is also a lesson in control. Many men spend their lives trying to control someone else's feelings, trying to force affection, trying to mold another person's heart. It is exhausting, futile, and humiliating. Acceptance shifts the focus back where it belongs, on yourself. You control your energy, your time, your growth, your presence. You are no longer a prisoner of someone else's choices, and that freedom is priceless. You finally realize that no person has the power to diminish you unless you allow it. And once you internalize this, everything changes. Here's the part most men find shocking: acceptance does not mean apathy. It does not mean ignoring feelings or avoiding emotions. It means respecting reality, respecting yourself, and making decisions that honor your worth. You acknowledge that someone does not love you in the way you need. And instead of wasting time, energy, and life, you redirect all of that into building yourself, your life, and your future. You become someone who is fully alive, fully present, and fully unshakable. The moment of acceptance is also the moment of transformation. You realize that the pain, the disappointment, the frustration you felt was not meaningless. It was guidance. It showed you where your energy should not go. It taught you to recognize patterns, to see reality without illusion, and to refuse to compromise your value. Every heartbreak, every moment of confusion, every wasted hour becomes a lesson that fuels your personal growth. You learn to invest only in what aligns with your worth, and that is an unstoppable form of power. Freedom through acceptance also reshapes your relationships entirely. When you stop chasing, when you stop begging, when you stop tolerating inconsistency, you create boundaries that protect your energy. You attract people who respect you, who match our presence, who are capable of loving you in ways that matter. You no longer settle for fleeting attention, half-hearted effort, or conditional affection. You begin to see relationships as exchanges of energy, respect, and presence, and you refuse to accept anything less than mutual investment. And the beauty of this truth is that it applies to all areas of life, not just love. Acceptance allows you to see opportunities clearly, to pursue your goals without distraction, and to interact with people without illusion. It frees you from the emotional chaos of trying to control what you cannot. It makes you stronger, sharper, and more resilient. Acceptance is not surrender, it is mastery. It is the conscious decision to live deliberately, to focus on what matters, and to refuse to waste energy on what cannot be changed. So, the lesson is clear: if a younger woman does not love you, do not fight reality. Do not argue with it. Do not cling to hope that is based on nothing. Accept it. See it for what it is. And then, immediately, redirect that energy. Invest in your growth, your purpose, your presence. Rebuild your life around clarity, power, and value. That is freedom. That is liberation. That is how men become magnetic, unshakable, and unstoppable. Here's the final, unforgettable truth: freedom is born when you accept reality, respect your worth, and refuse to waste time on someone who cannot love you. Stop chasing. Start building. Own your energy. And watch the life, love, and respect you deserve naturally come to you.